What the hell did I watch last Thursday? That had to be one of the most schizophrenic impacts I've seen in some time. What do I mean by that? I mean that I can't recall the last time I saw an impact with such a stark contrast of good stuff versus utter shit. And I'm really not sure how else to describe it, so let's just get into this thing. Bully Ray starts the show off. Okay, that's definitely a good thing. He accuses James Storm of being behind the aces and eights again. Storm comes out and once again denies it. This sets up their match that would happen in the main event. Then the aces and eights show up on the monitor, and they say that Sting has invited them to the show, but they're going to show up on their own time. And these guys obviously saw The Dark Knight Rises recently, because damned if they're not aping Bane in these videos, where it sounds like they're all talking with a muffled microphone, and it's kind of hard to understand what they're saying. At least it was more current than Sting ripping off the Joker last year. Maybe this is a stupid question, but last week we had all these different stars banding together to fight the aces and eights. So this week, why didn't they just go to where those guys were and take them out? Obviously the camera crew knows where they are, so why not just go there and fight them? I don't know. I guess we're supposed to suspend our disbelief on that one. Anyway, a great segment. And even though it wasn't really anything we haven't seen before with Storm being accused and all that stuff, if you give microphones to Bully Ray and James Storm, you're gonna get 15 minutes of gold no matter what they're talking about. I do have a complaint that Hardcore Justice was barely mentioned here, but the promos were as great as they always are from these guys, and I really hope you all enjoyed this segment as much as I did, because it was gonna have to tide you over for a while. I'm not sure how this happened exactly, but following that opening segment, we were presented with an absolute parade of shit. Believe me when I say that nothing, and I mean nothing good, happened in the next 40 minutes of this show. It was as if the writers took every single bad idea they came up with that week and crammed them all into one solid block of ass. So brace yourselves and buckle up, people, because this is gonna hurt.
Destination? Horror.
First, they had Magnus job to Bob Van Dam in a 3-minute match.
I don't know what my future holds, but I know one thing.
Really disappointed with how the BFG series has gone for Magnus. I've been a proponent of this guy since he debuted. And yes, back then I could understand not pushing him that much because at the time he did need a lot of work. But he's improved an awful lot since then. Now is the time to start pushing Magnus because he could be a big breakout star in the making. And being a part of the Bound for Glory series and doing well in it could have been something that would have really given him a great rub and would have been the perfect way to kick off his singles push. But instead, he spent a lot of it jobbing and he's nowhere near the top of the leaderboard anymore, which seems like a huge waste of potential to me. Really, what is the point of having Magnus lose this match? Can you explain that? Magnus is a promising up-and-coming star who looked like he was finally starting to climb the ladder after his tag title run with Samoa Joe. Van Dam hasn't been interesting in forever, and he isn't even close to being relevant right now. Van Dam winning this match does nothing for anyone. Magnus winning would have done something for someone, but instead, after a brief respite from him, No Job Rob strikes again.
You're nothing but a selfish prick!
The Pope cut a promo on these guys, and you had Anderson on commentary here, so at least this segment served to hype their four-way at the pay-per-view, but Van Dam going over Magnus did not agree with that at all.
This whole show is ridiculous!
Then came perhaps the most pointless segment I've seen on this show all year. Unsurprisingly, it involved Garrett Bischoff.
No!
And because TNA really seemed to have a vendetta against me during this 40-minute suckfest, Garrett was getting a title shot. So Kaz and Daniels defend the World Tag Team Championships of the world against Devon and Garrett, even though they haven't competed as a team on TV in like 2 months. I think Taz tried to explain that, but honestly, the second I saw Garrett on my screen, I stopped listening to the commentary, because I knew it was going to do nothing but irritate me. Why did this match exist? This match had nothing to do with anything. So why did we get this instead of pay-per-view hype? You could have given that time to Kenny King and Zema Ion. You could have had Daniels cut a promo on his four-way at Hardcore Justice, and that match needed a hell of a lot more hype, damn it! Almost anything would have been preferable. And really, when your pay-per-view hype has been so secondary to a bunch of other things, why are you wasting time with pointless filler crap like this?
This whole show violates everything about my journalistic integrity.
The match was passable, that's about it. I could not care less about Garrett, and Devon has just been treading water for months now. His TV title run has gone absolutely nowhere, and frankly, they were booked way too strongly in this match. Kaz and Daniels should not need to cheat to beat Devon and Garrett fucking Bischoff.
Oh, what a bunch of bull.
Daniels is the one with the big pay-per-view match this Sunday. Him and Kaz should have plowed through these guys and won clean, especially considering that Devon might not even be with the company like a month from now. But, as bad and as stupid as this was, it couldn't even hold a candle to what happened next. Robbie E. cuts a promo.
Yet again, I am standing before another ignoramus.
And because TNA like pissing money down the toilet apparently, Rob Terry is still employed, so he's out there with him.
Nobody cares about you guys.
Robbie brags about his standing in the Bound for Glory series because he thinks that placing dead last in this tournament is something that he should brag about. What a fucking idiot.
This alleged superstar is an unworthy opponent.
Then he brags about that bullshit countout victory where he basically Forrest Gumped his way to 5 measly points against Jeff Hardy. This brings Hardy out in a desperate attempt to salvage his career after that moronic exercise in booking fuckery, and the segment ends with the heels ganging up on Hardy and, get this, Rob Terry putting Jeff Hardy through a table and Robbie E. standing over him. Where the fuck do I even begin? Bullshit. It's fucking Robbie fucking E. Goddamn, Rob the botch terror. They fucking serious. They can't be fucking serious with this shit. God damn it. Also, bloody hell. God fucking damn it. Hell down. God damn it. This fucking bullshit. Ugh. Ugh. I want you guys to be very, very quiet for a second. Do you hear that? Do you hear that sound way off in the distance? That's the sound of Jeff Hardy's star falling from here all the way down to here. You know an angle must have been the brain fart of the fucking decade if I, of all people, am coming to the defense of Jeff Hardy. But I swear to God, that is what happened in this segment. Now, despite my personal dislike for the man, he is one of this company's biggest stars, one of their biggest moneymakers. But when you book him like this, against jobbers like that, all you accomplish is damaging his ability to draw money for you by dragging him down to the level of these no-talent ass clowns.
You people are fools!
Robbie E. has been portrayed as a complete fucking joke in this tournament, getting embarrassed by everybody, and no one thinks for 1 second that he has a chance in hell of winning. To even have Jeff Hardy in the same ring as this second-rate Zack Ryder wannabe loser, let alone having him get over on Hardy in any way, shape, or form, is hands down the stupidest, most asinine fucking thing that's happened in this company since Hulk Hogan stood in front of thousands of UK fans in the Wembley Arena and tried to anoint Garrett Bischoff as the future of wrestling. You put a huge dent in whatever star power Jeff Hardy still has, and this doesn't do anything for Robbie because he was a joke before this, and he'll be a joke after this because the gimmick sucks, he's not over, he's lazy as hell, and he can't wrestle a good match to save his fucking life.
Fail! You fail! How do you screw this up?
Let's be clear. I do expect that Jeff Hardy will be putting Robbie through a table on Sunday, but that doesn't do anything to save this. The damage has been done. So congratulations, TNA. I didn't think it was possible, but somehow, some way, you've actually made me sympathize with Jeff Hardy. God help me, I'm gonna puke. Shit. So that was hour one. The show improved dramatically after this, but good God, aside from that opening segment, that first hour was absolutely brutal. So to get me to step away from the edge of the cliff, Samoa Joe cut a really good promo at the announce booth about his four-way at the pay-per-view, and then they did a Bound for Glory series match with Kurt Angle versus AJ Styles.
This is gonna make you cream.
This was announced last week, and I think AJ mentioned it in a promo, but other than that, there was virtually no hype for this, which baffled me because it is a really big match, and in the past has been treated like a really big match. A criminally small amount of promotion for this one, but Angle and AJ delivered. They had the match you would expect them to have. It did closely resemble most of Kurt Angle's matches these days, but it was very good. Claire Lynch didn't do anything, thankfully, though she was there, cheering AJ on, strangely enough. And then she gave him the stink eye as he walked to the back, so Lord knows what she's gonna do next. Congratulations on getting married, Gail. And as a wedding present, TNA booked you as enhancement talent for the Knockouts champ. So they did Tessmacher versus Gail, and because there are too many sharp objects in this room that I'm tempted to open a vein with right now, I'm not even gonna touch the idea that Tessmacher was wrestling Gail Kim as a warm-up for Madison Rayne. Fuck that noise.
This is ridiculous, man, any way you look at it.
Week by week now, we're seeing just how thin and depleted the Knockout roster has become. Gail and Tessmacher is not a bad women's match at all. In fact, it's usually pretty darn good, and this time was no different. But this was like the 6th match they've had in the last 3 months. In the meantime, there's departures all over the place. Angelina's gone, Velvet's gone, Winter's rumored to be leaving pretty soon, and Sarita and Rosita probably aren't far behind her. Tessmacher as the champion is one of the last things you can do with the Knockouts that's new and different. That whole division is really barren right now. I mean, Taylor Hendricks got a contract, yeah, but we haven't seen her since then. Can we please get some new Knockouts on the screen already? It's time, TNA. It really is. After the match, Madison Rayne comes out to her typical lack of any crowd reaction whatsoever, and then makes out with Earl Hebner. And ZOMG, Miss Tessmacher's title reign could be in serious jeopardy if Earl Hebner referees their match this Sunday. What's she gonna do? Hey, TNA management. Here's an idea that's so crazy it just might work. If Earl Hebner's impartiality is being called into question here, just get a different referee to officiate that match. Problem solved!
I was a war correspondent, and now I'm covering this!
There was a Kenny King hype video with him talking about what winning the X Division title would mean to him, and it was a really good video. I just wish Kenny King and Zema Ion had gotten the time in the in-ring segment instead of that pointless tag team title match. As it turns out, the Austin Aries Bobby Roode contract signing was the semi-main event segment of the night, so the main event could be devoted to the Aces and Eights teasing that they might show up, but then not show up. And if you're wondering why I keep complaining that Austin Aries' world title reign is being treated as completely secondary to all that stuff, it's because it is. Long story short, this is probably the best segment of the night, with each guy delivering on the mic, and after Hardcore Justice, there will be no more rematches. So this is it between Aries and Roode. And I really hope that they didn't just telegraph the finish of that match by doing this. To see Aries lose the belt back to Roode after just 1 month of his title reign not being given the respect and attention it deserved would be just terrible. And it would be a huge mistake too, in my opinion, so I'm really hoping that doesn't happen. And finally, the main event of the night is James Storm versus Bully Ray. It's a solid match, with Bully Ray getting the surprise win, but given all the teases, I really couldn't get into the match that much because I kept expecting the Aces and Eights to come out. But they show up on the monitor afterward and say they're gonna be at Hardcore Justice, and they're coming after Bully Ray for reasons unknown. And that's what we end on. Another good segment here, but after all the teases, that ending kind of felt like a cop-out to me. Honestly, As a go-home show, I gotta give this episode a thumbs down. They did manage to hype every Hardcore Justice match in some way, and there were some really strong segments in there, like the opener, the contract signing, but at the same time, it seemed like all this build-up to the announcement that the Aces and Eights are going to show up at the pay-per-view really took priority over the pay-per-view itself. And this is after they've been showing up whenever they damn well please for weeks. So what's going to make this any different, really? I'm not criticizing the angle, but it does feel like they're putting all their eggs in one basket with this. Everything else just feels like it lacks importance now, and that's not what you want. It's still a great card, and it could very well be a great pay-per-view, but the hype did it a disservice in my opinion. So anyway, stay tuned for Hardcore Justice, where we find out if whatever's planned for the Aces and Eights was worth making everything else on this show seem like it's not that important. See you next week.